Good morning and welcome to math class. I hope everybody had a great spring break. I'm glad that you're all here for math class. So today we're going to be talking about something a little different. Last time we were talking about fractions. Fractions are numbers that are smaller than 1. They're also chunks of larger groups. But today we're going to be talking about something different, and they're very related to fractions. They're called decimals. And you've seen decimals all over the place. You've seen them with money, you've seen them with measuring, you've seen them with time, with like breaking a record, like 45.6 seconds. The 0.6 is a decimal. If something costs $2.45, it looks like 2.45. That 0.45 is a decimal. So you've seen them a lot. Let's start off with looking at a number like this. Okay, here we go. What number do you see? 4. 4's in the ones place, so you have 4 things. Next up. Oh, now there's 5 and then a 4. So what number is that? 54. 5's in the tens place. 54. 4's in the ones place. Now we've got 3 numbers. 654. The 4's in the ones place. 5's in the tens place. 6's in the hundreds place. But the number keeps growing. Now we've got 7,654. The 7's in the thousands place. Notice how each time you go this way to the left, the numbers just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and each spot is 10 times as big as the previous spot. The 10 spot is 10 times bigger than the 1 spot. So if you have 3 10s, that's actually 30. If you have 3 1s, it's only 3. It's 10 times bigger than the 10 spot, and then 10 times bigger in the hundreds, and then 10 times bigger in the thousands. And what's coming next? You got it, the 10,000s. So right now this number looks like this. It says 27,654. So this is all stuff we've done before. This should be review for you guys. But what we're going to be talking about today is what happens when the numbers keep going and they get smaller than 1. So what if it looks like this? What if it looks like this and then you would say 27,654. Oh, and it keeps going. 0.3. So we're going to be talking about today how after the decimal point, which comes after the 1 spot, you can keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's linked to fractions. It's all going to be in tenths or hundredths or thousands because we count in a 10-based system. So in some ways, it's a lot simpler than fractions because everything is in the 10 number system, 10-based number system. So it's always just tenths or hundredths. You don't have any funky like sevenths. It's just tenths. So it's kind of like the easy one. Right? You know, like when you see tenths, like, oh, okay, that's like an easy one to understand. Tenths. So the 3 is in not the 10 spot, the tenths spot, or the tenths place. Tenths. 27,654.3 or 3 tenths. So that first is the tenth spot. It's all in fractions. So let's look at something that's like this. If you see a number like this, say 1,000. What's 1/10 of 1,000? Well, it'd be like if you just erased one of those zeros. What number do you have there? 1/10 of 1,000 is 100. So just like they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they go times 10, when you get rid of numbers, they get smaller. So 1/10 of 1,000 is 100. So now you have 100. What's 1/10 of 100? So notice how we're getting smaller this time? 1/10 of 100 is 10. What's 1/10 of it? You just cover up a 0. It's 10. Well, what's 1/10 of 10? Well, I'm just going to cover it up. What's 1/10 of 10? 1. Well, what's 1/10 of 1? Now we're getting into what we're talking about today. It's going to be a fraction. 1/10 of 1 is 1/10. 1/10 of 1 is 1/10, also known as 0.1. It's 0.1. So this is the 10th spot right there. That's the 10th spot. So if you see a big number like this, well, what's in the 1 spot? The 6. Good job. What's in the... What is the 3 in? U. It's in the 100 spot. Nice, you're right. Good job. What is the 2 in? Oh boy, it's on the other side of the decimal point, so it's going to be less than 1. It's in the 10th spot. That's the 10th spot. And the 4 is in the 100th spot. So just remember that tenths are in the 10th spot. Hundredths are in the 100th spot. So if you see something that looks like this, write, let's say 1/10 as a fraction. 1/10, if you have 1/10, which is a fraction, you want to write that as a decimal, 1/10, it's going to be 0. What? 0.1. Because that's the 10th spot. How many tenths do you have? You got 1. What if you have like 3/10? That's going to be 0. What? 3/10 is going to be 0.3. What about 7/10? Can you put 7/10 into a decimal for me? Well, it's less than 1. It's 7/10. So you just put the 7 in the 10th spot and you got it. 0.7. So once you see that connection between fractions and decimals, then you just say, oh, well, tenths are kind of an easy decimal, actually. Just plug it into the 10th spot. So you're going to see some problems that look like this today. You're going to see problems that look like 1 is 0.3 plus what? You're going to see some problems that look like that. Well, think about it. That's 0.3, also known as 3/10. 3/10 plus what equals 1? 3/10 plus how many tenths is 1? 3/10 plus 7/10 is 10/10, also known as 1. We got it. 0.3 plus 0.7 is 3/10 plus 7/10, which is 1. What about if you get one that looks like this? That says 0.2. Well, 0.2 plus what equals 1? So 2, that's in the 10th spot, right? So 0.2 is 2/10. 2/10 plus what equals 1? 2/10 plus, what if we looked at it like this? 2/10 plus how many tenths is 1? Well, you're going to have to think of the 1 as 10/10. So maybe I'll write it like that because it's a little easier to understand. Now we can just figure it out pretty easily, right? 2/10 plus 8/10 is 10/10, right? Because 2 plus 8 equals 10. 2/10 plus 8/10 is 10/10, which is 1. So right there, I'm going to write a 0.8. Notice how these are in the 10th spot? 0.2 plus 0.8 is 1. You're going to see some problems that look like that. That's going to be the kind of the end of what we're doing today. So that's sort of the hardest part of it, actually. But a lot of it's going to be just looking at things like this, where they're going to draw a picture and they're going to say, I've got 6/10, and they might even have a whole bunch of little 6/10 that look like this. 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. And they say, hey, look at all these tenths I have down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They say, I've got 6/10. Can you write that as a decimal? Well, you know how many tenths do you have? 6. So 6 is going to go in the 10th spot. So you still don't have a 1. You don't have a full one yet. You still have 0 something. But you got 0 point what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6/10. 0.6 is 6/10. Because the 6 is in the 10th spot. 0.6 is in the 10th spot. The other things you're going to be looking at today are measurement. You're going to be looking at something like, if it says, let's see, something that looks like liters, which is a way of measuring liquid. Like if you have a big 2-liter soda, it's those big guys. And if it says something like this, where it'll be like, if this is a liter, 1 liter, then how much is this right here? Kind of like that. So it's like, well, how much is that? Well, if that's the whole liter, you don't have half of it. You don't have the 0.5. You just count them up. We've got 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.3. That's how much I have. Just count them up. 1, 2, 3. 0.3. Also known as 3/10 of a liter. So they're just getting started on decimals. That's what we're going to be looking at today, is looking at tenths. So if you have like tenths, I'm doing this kind of fast. Pretend like that's 1/10, and they say, hey, turn that fraction of 1/10 into a decimal point. And you say, oh, well, 1/10, it's going to equal 0 point something. It's going to equal 0.1. 1 is in the 10th spot. 1/10 is 0.1. How many tenths do we have? We've got 1. See? 1/10. 1/10 is 0.1. If it said 7/10, how many tenths do we have? We have 7/10. You just look at what's in the 10th spot and then you put it in the 10th spot right there. Tenths, fractions, and decimals are just super related. Tenths are tenths and decimal. Tenths and fractions are tenths and decimals. Tenths. And we see tenths all the time. Like if somebody just scores this awesome dive in the Olympics, they got a 4.5. That's 4.5. The 0.5 is in the 10th spot. They didn't just get a 4, but they didn't quite get a 5. They got a 4.5. So today I'd like you to do pages 7, 8, and 9 in your workbook. And this is the workbook B, the next one. We're moving on to decimals in 4B. So I want you to do that. And there's also a vocabulary that I want you to watch the video for that too. They talk about decimals. 7, 8, and 9. And we're talking about decimals, and you can do it. Just similar to fractions. Just look at what's in the 10th spot and plug it into the 10th spot. All right, you can do it.